Although selling in our industry is similar in many respects to selling in others, there is one area that it is completely different. The difference is what makes our program such an incredible opportunity. It is a little difficult to describe, so to help you understand, let's take a look at a case study. In this case study, let's take a look at a fictional agent named Bob. Bob has sold many things over the years: textbooks, office supplies, insurance, and most recently copiers. When he found CoreTech Brokers, he liked being in a different sales environment and working for a company that was revolutionizing a developing industry. He decided to work the program part-time just to see what would happen. At the completion of his basic broker training and assignments, he identified 20 prospects from his network. From these 20 prospects, he chose 6 businesses to work on with his mentor. The first business was a title company with 2 offices in his area. He knew the operations manager to be business-minded and always looking for ways to make their offices more efficient. The second business was an insurance office that housed not only the insurance agents, but customer service and telemarketing personnel as well. He was friends with the owner and knew that he would be open to anything that would either cut costs or improve his business. The third business was an architecture and engineering firm. They had recently tasked him to find a large format printer that they could use to print scale drawings of parts and pieces of factory modifications so that customers could see it life-sized. He had kept in touch with one of the partners and knew he could get an appointment. The fourth business was a company that processed auto loans for used car dealers. He didn't know much about them, but the IT manager was an acquaintance. Bob felt confident that using this program, he could gain an appointment. The fifth business was a provider to a company Bob sold office products for. They were in another state, but he had met the VP of sales at a conference, and they had kept in touch over many years. They had over 300 employees in their manufacturing facility, along with customer support teams, marketing teams, and 24 territory wholesalers across the country. The sixth business was a chiropractor he knew from volunteering for his daughter's junior high basketball team. Other than being the medical person that helped the girls learn to stretch, he didn't know anything else about him, but he knew he could get an appointment. As you can see, Bob has 6 different opportunities. Which opportunity is best? Which opportunities are worth chasing and which are not? The truth is, at this point, there's no way to know. Unlike other sales processes, a cursory look at a company reveals little about their communications, information, and technology needs. From looking on the front side of the door, there isn't enough information about specifics to understand the opportunities. Without sitting down with people inside of the business, Bob has no way to assess what a company may need, want, or desire. The first thing you need to understand is that communications, information, and technology needs and desires cannot be assessed from the front side of the door. Although phones, devices, computer systems, software, and connection services are all tangible things, they are attached to deep-seated strategic objectives, financial goals, and company visions. The tangible things facilitate a business purpose. Therefore, you cannot know what things they need until you know what it is they are trying to accomplish. This also means that it is incredibly important to have both a technical discussion and a business discussion in order to meet or exceed their needs and expectations. This is the exact reason that we have developed our discovery system and discovery tools. This powerful tool allows you, without much training, to sit down with the business and discover the tangible and intangible aspects of the opportunity. Our tools provide a guided tour into the needs and desires of that business. The short consulting session is unobtrusive, easy to follow, and incredibly powerful. It's not a sales call. It is simply a discovery meeting to identify any opportunities to help them reach their business objectives, financial goals, and company vision. But that, in and of itself, is not what makes this unique and different. That comes from what we do with the information you gathered in the discovery meeting. At first, as a new broker, you don't understand the implications of all the questions that you ask. You may not even fully understand the questions. Don't worry. At this point, you need only be buzzword compliant and have a basic understanding of the CoreTech world. You will learn all you need to know as you go through the process with your mentor and work with your team. As stated, the magic happens as we unwrap the information that you gain through the discovery meeting using our tools. What we find through unwrapping the discovery information cannot be seen as you gazed at the front side of the door. The most important aspect of what we are asking you to do is get behind the door and have a discovery meeting. It is then, and only then, that we understand what the opportunity truly is. Behind each of Bob's doors lies an opportunity. What it is, how big it is, how we can help, what commissions are to be made, what are we going to sell, are all questions that, from the front side of the door, cannot be answered. But armed with the discovery meeting information Bob received, we can now open each of those doors to reveal the opportunities Bob has found. The first business was the title company with 2 offices in his area. From the front of the door, Bob thought they would be a perfect client, needing several technologies packed with features and commissions. However, through the discovery meeting and tools, he discovered that the owner thought himself a technology geek and was proud of the piecemeal system he had created using low-cost options he had found on the internet. At the present time, they had no needs. However, after the meeting, the operations manager called Bob to tell him that the system had more than its fair share of problems and that she would work on the owner and call if anything changed. After Bob thought about it, he realized that this was a future opportunity that would need to be revisited several times over the next year. He needed to keep the operations manager as his key ally and keep in contact. Although this didn't result in a sale, it resulted in something that is quite common in the industry. This is a prospect that is one critical incident away from becoming a client. By keeping in touch and following up, it's not a sale this year, but a hot lead ready to listen to the first person who calls after part of that system fails. The second business was the insurance office with insurance agents, customer service reps, and telemarketers. From the front of the door, Bob saw dollar signs from multiple departments, complex needs, and multiple systems. However, the insurance office just signed a 2-year contract with another firm to handle their hosted and managed services as well as their voice and data. Because of the cancellation costs, they were not interested. Although this appears to be a lost opportunity, Bob knows it's not. It is just an opportunity that's not ready yet. With unique tools and processes provided by Concierge Core Services, Bob knows exactly when to contact his friend and this company to start exploring options before their current contract is up. Bob knows that technology changes, more effective systems are created all the time, and cost effectiveness gets better every year. This is a great opportunity. It just needs to ripen on the vine a little while longer. The third business was the architecture and engineering firm. From the front of the door, Bob did not think that this would be terribly fruitful, especially when he found out that it only had 10 employees. However, he'd remember something in his training that professional offices often had hidden silver linings that are meaningful and worth looking into. Through the discovery forum, Bob found that because the type of work they do and the amount of information they used, Concierge Core Services had products and services that were not only needed, but that the company wanted managed services for all of their needs because they lacked the personnel and the desire to handle it themselves. It took a little bit of time, but with the help of his mentor, Bob was able to sell multiple products to meet multiple needs. It wasn't a huge monthly commission, but if he used what he learned through this experience to add more of these types of sales, his house and car payment would be covered for the next 3 years. Then, Concierge Core Services systems would help keep the business on the books beyond those 3 years, creating a stable income base Bob could rely on. Additionally, at the request of his mentor, Bob added another dimension to his presentation with this company. This seemingly small, unimportant dimension could ultimately lead to a rich source of clients, hot prospects, and more sales. His mentor reminded Bob about the referral training that was provided in the new broker training program. Bob had forgotten all about this, and he had forgotten to do it, and he realized he had missed several opportunities with the previous businesses. Determined to be successful, Bob applied the simple principles taught in the referral training at several points during the process with the architecture and engineering firm. At each point, he followed simple steps and gained additional prospects. At one point, while working with the CEO, Bob used a simple technique to have the CEO call another CEO to make an introduction. Bob met with the new CEO a week later. In all, using the ideas and techniques taught in the referral training course, Bob was able to make 3 additional appointments and meet 2 other prospects. If Bob did this at every meeting, Bob would never need to cold call another company ever. The 4th business was the company that processed auto loans for used car dealers. He made a call to the IT manager and had a discovery meeting. Bob couldn't write fast enough. The needs of this business were so vast and complex. The IT manager lamented about trying to fix multiple problems at multiple sites with hundreds of employees. They had systems inside of systems, and the IT manager referenced things that Bob only slightly understood. But because Bob was buzzword compliant, he was able to hold his own and record all the information. Bob, his mentor, and the sales team got to work and spent weeks going through the information. Planning sessions followed, and provider experts got involved. Scalable systems take time to create, and many presentations take time to deliver. But in the end, the company bought only one of the pieces Bob's teams had offered. The huge commission Bob had spent endless nights spending in his dreams did not materialize. Bob was obviously discouraged. But Bob's mentor pointed out something after Bob complained on the phone. This one sale created a client that will not only pay a nice commission on the services they bought for the next 3 years and beyond, but a client that has other needs. A client that Bob has continuous access to and reasons to get in front of regularly. This one client didn't produce the all-encompassing single commission Bob wanted. It provided a client for Bob that could create sales for long into the future if he did his job in building relationship and allowing concierge core services to help him meet all of their challenges. If Bob did his job correctly, all those commissions may eventually be his. The 5th business was the provider to the company Bob sold office products for. Because they were in another state, Bob did the discovery meeting online with his friend, the vice president. He learned that this company had an entire IT department that handled these types of things, and that the VP was over-marketing and had little to do with it. Bob, using the tools provided by Concierge Core Services, enlisted the VP to help him discover the right person to talk to. He then asked the VP to help make an introduction. A meeting with the Chief Information Officer has not yet materialized, but Bob uses good sales techniques to keep his name out in front. He sends him clips of articles and product information in a timely fashion. He plans on calling him this month to set the discovery meeting. He's not discouraged. He realizes that sooner or later the Chief Information Officer will need something, because things always change, and Bob will be ready to provide it. He is also keeping in touch with the Vice President, enlisting him to help set the meeting. The 6th business was the chiropractor he knew from volunteering for his daughter's junior high basketball team. From the front of the door, this looked like the exact opportunities his mentor told him to stay away from. These opportunities that take up all of your time and pay next to nothing. But Bob needed the practice in doing discovery meetings. He wanted to do it just to get another one under his belt. At the meeting, Bob learned that his chiropractor didn't even own his practice. The practice was actually owned by a larger company that owned 62 different offices in 13 states. Because the chiropractor knew that all the offices were having similar issues with their phones and communications, he called the home office and talked with the IT manager he had worked with to solve issues that very morning. He agreed to a discovery meeting, and they did it over the internet the following week. The discovery information provided for several large, productive opportunities. Concierge Core Services was able to provide the scaling the company needed, as it was adding 10 to 12 offices a year. It took some time, but in the end, Bob and his team were able to sell multiple products, multiple services, and multiple systems. This created multiple income streams for Bob. In all, this single account provided Bob with more than $6,000 in monthly commissions, totaling more than $216,000 over the next 3 years. This allowed Bob to manage the account and be more selective in his activities to bring on new clients. From the front of the door, Bob didn't know which ones were the best opportunities. He couldn't tell by looking at them. He could only discover their opportunities by opening the door and having a discovery meeting. Some doors looked like they would pay big commissions. Some were just for practice. Bob was successful because he learned that what is behind the door is more important, not the assumptions he made at the front of the door. Bob's case study brings out the critical nature of what we do. We work to have discovery meetings, many discovery meetings. Until we see what's on the other side of the door, we don't know what opportunities are waiting. Bob was successful because he understood that the discovery meetings were the key to his success. This will be true of you as well. Will you find an incredibly ballooning opportunity as fast as Bob? Maybe, but one thing's crystal clear. The more discovery meetings you have, the more likely it will happen. Maybe even more importantly, what if you never find one giant case like Bob, but instead found 5 mid-sized businesses that paid you $1,000 or more each, and then you asked for referrals? Then you met with those referrals and you sell 5 more mid-sized opportunities and asked for more referrals. How long would it take you to reach your desired income? And then simply manage those accounts. This is what brokers just like you are doing every day. What makes this opportunity unique is that you, right now, with just a little training on how to do a discovery meeting, can start to succeed. You have people in your network that you can open a dialogue with, set a meeting, and gather information. Since we never know what is behind the door, your job is to open as many doors as you can. You never know what is waiting, which door will make your day, or possibly the rest of your life. It's now up to you. The faster you get started, the faster our system, training, and products can put you in a position to succeed.